Hi everyone, we're here for part 2 of Good Work, Amelia Bedelia. So if you remember, or if you're just watching this video next, Amelia Bedelia, let's get this color set up right. There you go. Amelia Bedelia has spent all day getting ready for the Rogers family and completing all the tasks on her to-do list. And now they are about to come home. And if you follow the directions, you would have made a little prediction of how she might interpret this chicken dinner. Okay, so I want you to hold that in your head as we continue to read Good Work, Amelia Bedelia. Soon, Mr. and Mrs. Rogers came home. Amelia Bedelia, yelled Mr. Rogers. Coming, called Amelia Bedelia. What is that awful cloth on the front door? Asked Mrs. Rogers. You said to patch the screen, said Amelia Bedelia. Can't patch without a patch. Oh. They went into the parlor. Oh, my good pots, said Mrs. Rogers. And the bad ones, too, said Amelia Bedelia. Homonym mix-up, classic. Mr. Rogers looked in the wood box. He shook his head, but he didn't say a word. Okay, before we move on, I want us to look at this, because this is something that you might have done without even noticing it, but it's an important reading skill, and I want to point it out. So if you're looking at the pictures and you're hearing the words, you might have inferred that Mr. Rogers is feeling something. An inference is when you take clues from the text and what you know in your head from like your life experience, and then you think of something that isn't explicitly said in the word, in the text, okay? This is called an inference. So when we look at this, Mr. Rogers looked at the wood box. He shook his head, but he didn't say a word. What do you think he's feeling? If you have any thought at all, you just made an inference, right? You're using the picture and you're realizing he is not happy, or maybe he's surprised or disappointed or any kind of feeling, but you're coming up with that from your own brain. The author didn't say he's disappointed. The author didn't say he's angry. That's an inference. That's a reading skill. They went into the kitchen. The sponge cake is pretty, said Mrs. Rogers. At least that's done right. She's in for a surprise. Something caught Mr. Rogers' eye. He looked up. What in tarnation is that? He said. The bread, said Amelia Bedelia. I plumb forgot it. Do let me punch it down quick. She climbed up on a chair. Amelia Bedelia began to punch. Mr. and Mrs. Rogers just stared. The bread plopped to the floor. What a good word. You could have said fell, but I love that. Plopped. The bread plopped to the floor. Did I see what I thought I saw? Said Mr. Rogers. You did, said Mrs. Rogers. Now, said Amelia Bedelia, dinner is ready when you are. Well, you can cook, said Mrs. Rogers. Dinner should be good. I hope so, said Mr. Rogers. I'm hungry. Just serve the plates, said Mrs. Rogers. So Mr. and Mrs. Rogers sat at the table, and Amelia Bedelia brought the plates. All right, last chance. I asked you guys, you people, you students, to make a prediction of what chicken dinner, what she might interpret chicken dinner as, right? Because she kind of messes a lot of stuff up. So here we have it. That's it. Get that zoom in. So what do you think that is? We have an extra clue now. So it's not just like coming from your bread, coming from your brain. I'm tired. It's not just coming from your brain, right? You have a little bit of a hint. What do you think she is going to serve to them. So at this point, I would make a prediction. P for prediction. I think chicken dinner will be, I don't know, maybe like scrambled eggs, because eggs come from chickens. And they actually wanted chicken, but she misinterpreted it, so maybe she'll make some scrambled eggs. Does that kind of look like scrambled eggs? I don't know. That's my prediction. Here we go. And I'll keep that right in there. Mr. and Mrs. Rogers stared at the plate. But that's cracked corn. It's all kinds of awful things, said Mrs. Rogers. You said chicken dinner, said Amelia Bedelia. That's what chickens eat for dinner. Mrs. Rogers was way too angry to speak. Take this mess away, said Mr. Rogers. So, cracked corn. Because it's what chickens eat. Of course, chicken dinner. She's giving them what chickens eat for dinner. Oh my goodness. Mr. Rogers said, serve the cake and the coffee. And Amelia Bedelia did. Whoa. Mr. Rogers took a big bite of cake. He spluttered and spit it out. What in tarnation is that? He said. A sponge, said Amelia Bedelia. Mrs. Rogers said to make a sponge cake. Uh-oh. Suddenly, Mr. Rogers laughed. He roared. Mrs. Rogers looked at the lumpy cake, and she laughed too. But I'm still hungry, said Mr. Rogers. I can fix that, said Amelia Bedelia. I have a surprise for you. Oh, no, said Mr. Rogers. I can't stand another one, said Mrs. Rogers. Amelia Bedelia brought in milk and her butterscotch cake. Oh, said Mr. Rogers. Hurry, said Mrs. Rogers. Give me some. Soon the whole cake was gone. How do you do it, Amelia Bedelia, said Mr. Rogers. 1 minute we're hopping mad at you, and the next, we know we can't do without you, said Mrs. Rogers. Amelia Bedelia just smiled. I guess I just understand your ways, she said. The end. Good work, Amelia Bedelia. Good book, Amelia Bedelia. Okay, when we finish a book, we take a minute to pause and we think about what we read. There's also, after we pause, you can pause longer, but in order to save some time on this video, I'll not pause so long. I'm going to take my reader's notebook. I'm going to jot down some thoughts. Okay, I was using a purple Sharpie. Let me find my next blank page. And I'll write, good work, Amelia Bedelia. It's good to keep your book right next to you so you can make sure you spell everything right. Bedelia. Oopsies. See, teachers make mistakes too. I'm just going to cross it out, actually. Rewrite it. Good work, Amelia Bedelia by Peggy Parrish. Okay, so when I think about this book, we did a few different things. I'm going to take out the sticky notes to remind myself. I did some analyzing. I did some questioning. And I made a prediction, which is here. Okay, so it's always good once you finish the book, take out your sticky notes, put them on a page. You can stack them on top of each other if you want to save space, but I only had 3 in this book, so I'm just going to put them all on one page. So what do I want to write about this book? What am I feeling? Well, Amelia Bedelia is hilarious, and I really enjoyed it. It kept me on my toes because I was asking a lot of questions about, like, how is she going to misinterpret what Mr. and Mrs. Rogers says, what they say? And so, like, what funny thing will she do next? I really enjoyed that part of the book. It kept me hooked and it kept me wanting to read. So to just quickly summarize that, let me even fold this up. This book was funny. It kept me hooked. Because I kept wanting to know what silly thing Amelia Bedelia would do next. You may have noticed that I just wrote AB instead of Amelia Bedelia. When I'm writing in my reader's notebook, I can write shorthand because I'm just writing in here for me and maybe for my teacher. But, like, I could explain what this means, right? So maybe my teacher would say, AB, what does that mean? And I would know, oh, that's just my code for Amelia Bedelia. I don't want to write it all the way out. It might take too long. This is just a quick write, okay? Another thing I do when I finish a book, the last thing I do, is I go to my book list. Da, 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 da. This is a new one. So I don't have too many books on here. 12 August. And I write the title. Sometimes you won't have room for the author. That's okay. And then I always like to give it a rating so that I can look back, because I might forget it right away, or I might forget it once I fill this page and I have 20 books. And that gives me a quick reminder of, like, did I like this book or not? So honestly, I love Amelia Bedelia, but this book wasn't really a challenge for me. And I've read a lot of other good books. So I'm going to give it a 4. That's my honest opinion. I didn't love it. I liked it a lot. Didn't love it. So that's that. Another read aloud, another book done and dusted. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I'm thinking about what book I might do next. I have a few here behind my computer screen, but if you want to have a special book read, or if there's something you love that you want to talk about, or have me read and see my opinion and how I think about it, leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and everything's amazing. Okay, bye.